Hello, Divine Sunshiners. Stay uplifted, stay motivated, stay ascended. Namaste, Namago. Hello, this is Divine Sunshine coming to you with a channeled message. We've had a lot of things that have changed for us over the course of the few days. We now see we have a new president-elect that is now being causing for a change to happen in the world. Let me turn you on so we can get some extra light here. There we go. For a new change that's in the world. In doing that and understanding that it brings to us, it brings to us an understanding that we have new leadership. Now, everything that's been happening in the world has really truly acted as a trigger for us to understanding that what soul within, so without. Meaning that some of the things that were occurring, and whether you agree with this or not, because you know that my channel is about triggering as well, is triggering you into the truth of who you are. And some type of the leadership, and let's say again that the person came in, and I'm not naming names, came in with a good heart. They believed that they were going to really turn the nation around and do it in a different way that was from I call it the secular way of doing things, which is the worldly way of where they came from, the business type sense. And came in with that same mindset and figuring that, hey, you know what, I'm going to change the world using the skill set that I came in with. Thinking that that would transfer over. When you come from a corporate standpoint in business, is for some of them understand truly there's a balance of it in understanding in leadership. There's just like everything has a light and has a shadow, just like the shirt I'm wearing, white and black. There's a way in which you're doing things that is a way ethically, they always tell us, because I've taken several leadership courses and I got a master's too in educational leadership, so I do know what I'm talking about. That, it's a way of you do it that's authoritative, that, it's my way, the highway, I dictate, I tell you the orders, and you go out and send it out. Then there's a way that you could do it in which is more so to be a transformational leader, which means that when I do things, I'm being a role model, I'm showing you the way. I'm hoping by me doing my leadership that I'm more so of a coach than a dictator. Some kind of way that when we got in there, we got lost. And this is not only saying, remember, we're all one. So we can't really say this person did leadership, that's all their personality. Somewhere in the crevices of ourselves, there is a distortion that he's reflecting back to us as a nation collectively that we had to fix. We had did some things, and I love my beloved DM, which he had really pretty much had told me. I remember early on in our relationship of coming together about the lesson of assumption and how you and I, baby, I was ready to throw that damn phone way across the damn room, across the expressway, because I live near the expressway here, Dan Ryan. Throw that damn phone when he said that. But he was like, you know what happens when you assume things, you make an ass out of yourself. I didn't like it, but that was a lesson that forever it was ingrained and burnt into my mind about me assuming things that were going on between him and I. The first election what we had here that went on with this person that was in leadership, there was a lot of assumption going on. People called themselves so-called doing it a new way because they didn't like the type of leadership they had left out before. It was a little too liberal. It was yes, I can, whatever. And a couple of people had rubbed kind of wrong with some of the policies. If I go by, like my mom said, the medical one, the Obamacare, she didn't quite like it. It was good for some, and some people got in between that donut hole, and then you got in between there, you were stuck. There was no way out. And so with that, that left some people saying, you know what, I'm not too much of a bigger fan of this or this leadership or what entailed had happened. So in doing that, we wanted something very new. We go to the point that it's to the other extreme. That was too liberal, too free, too whatever. We're going to go to the other extreme. And in walks the other type of leadership. Now, that's again in life. We do that. Sometimes we're like, hey, that didn't work out. I'm going to go totally opposite, even like in dating. Well, you know, I might like guys as this type. But this time I'm going extremely to the opposite. I ain't going to pick me nobody that's like this person. I'm going totally opposite. And then sometimes you find out you didn't got too much of an extremist. This type of leadership showed a lot of things of how it is that, again, of self, whether you agree with this or not. A lot of smoke and mirrors, a lot of gaslighting, a lot of programming of saying, I'm doing this for the betterment of you. And it really wasn't. We've all had those kind of like relationships, of been in those type of situations where people saying they're doing it for you, and when you look at it, you say, you're doing for self. That's the distortion that some types of leadership, from my view, what I've seen, had brought to the table. Which brings us to saying again, how is it that we are doing things to others in life in some ways that make it seem as if we're doing it for their benefit, but it's really solely for our own self. We let things slide. We didn't really take it seriously. And us not taking seriously, things fell underneath the radar. We got somebody that was in power office that was, again, that was extreme. For some, he has his good points. For others, he did not. It depends on how you look at things. Some people say they did well underneath their leadership. Some others said not so much. And that's everybody on that. You have some things, you win some, you lose some on that thing. But really, when I look overall, the lesson that was learned is, again, in trying to create something different, we could go to the extremes on things. And then what we look at to replace, sometimes it's always a lesson that I've learned. Sometimes you, in order to replace and forget the other thing that you didn't think that was so well, you can always replace it with something worse off. So that's why you have to be very careful. You got to be vigilant. You got to be watchful. You got to be mindful of the things that you ask for to come to replace the other thing that you want to get rid of. Because I think at that point as a nation, we had gotten to that point, some of us, that was like, I didn't like that one, so I'm going to pick something else. But we didn't check all the boxes. We didn't look at it right. We assume, there's no way this person's going to get in there. At that time of our consciousness, we weren't ready for a woman leader. We had to have the Me Too movement, the divine, if you want to say, the stellar things of the planetary shifts and everything had not fallen into place, in which we start viewing the woman in leadership totally different. The environment that we are in right now, it is acceptable of the divine feminine in her power now. We see this collectively in all different types of governmental positions, means of power, that now is okay. Maybe a woman can lead. Maybe a woman does know what she's talking about. Before, the old paradigm was back there based upon that old 1950s that fathers know best. The man knows best. The divine masculine knows best. A lot of studies have shown also that when we're talking about in leadership, that the woman is a better leader. I'm not saying that because I'm a woman. It's because that's what they stated. They say because she has an overall generality to see everything, and she's more of a balance. Now, what makes it different for divine masculine or a male to do that? If it's, he's used to and he's in touch with his masculine and his feminine energies within the alpha and the omega. Some might say that the other president that came before this one might have been a little bit too much into his omega-ness and less into the alpha. This one here is more so into his alpha and less into his omega. So that's why I say, in looking to replace certain energies, we got to make sure that we are replacing it with something that is more well balanced. Plus, we cannot. Plus, we cannot. Oh, what's that about? Plus, that's old, ain't it? Plus, we cannot. That's old there. Okay, that already been in there. Plus, we cannot continue on to believe that we can't be vigilant. We got to be on top of things. We cannot allow or believe that others can do for us more than what we can do for ourselves. And that's what we showed this time. We were more vigilant. We were more on top of things. We were more on being a part of the solution instead of sitting back and being an active stand-byer. That's all right. I ain't got to vote. Somebody else will do it. That's all right. Eventually. Why should I vote? Because my vote doesn't matter. Whole different consciousness, whole different belief system, whole different now set of mindset. Because of that, consciously us as a nation of coming together, it calls for the shift to happen. Now, it's funny and it's interesting that according to, and I do watch, look at Notre Dame. Notre Dame stated that, again, it was going to be back again, and the seat was going to be the president that's now in office was going to get it back again because of certain states. But again, he's way back then. He doesn't know, but a way of looking at that is understanding that the difference is that was his time frame, and us trying to decipher what he's saying because he was so abstract. That understanding that we're talking about, it was because of states. It was about presidential things, but again, it wasn't him getting back into office. Now, again, this is out. Most of the time we don't, but I want you to look at the symbolism. I always look at the symbolism and what was the lesson to be learned. I'm not picking sides and saying who was right better, who was not. But overall, I'm looking at and I'm reading the energy of what exuded and came from this whole situation, which was us collectively getting together and saying, you know what, whatever this is in leadership that's in power right now, we don't like it, and it's not to us a reflection of who we are. I went over it with the kids about what it means to be a president, and the president really represents a lot of things of how they are as a representative of you in that role. Now, if that was you, that you believe in that role, that you really stand behind who the current president is, then in some ways that would be as saying, okay, it's time to maybe take a little check and look and see about what needs to be changed. Because again, anybody that's in leadership, again, and now the masses have now stated that no longer is in accordance with that. Looking to see at him and what examples of things is it that we're not accepting as leaders in the environment, our surroundings, are really showing us that, hey, you know what, that's not working. Everybody else ain't around it. They acting like they co-signing on it. But when it comes to the majority, like they say, the majority rules, you're not being a real good role model. You're not really living up to the part of the position that you're in as a divine. Now, like I said, everything is reflecting on us, for us to take an introspective look at ourselves, because this is also showing us where is some of the distortion that's going on with us, because he couldn't have came and appeared and happened unless there's a lesson that we all have to learn, whether you agree with it or not. He represents something within us as a state of consciousness, period, as a group of people that has to be changed. And according to that, everybody came in masses and said, nope, this is not me. We need to change that. But again, I would say, what did we do up until now to have gotten us to that point that we had somebody that was a representative that say they represented us in the consciousness and the state we were in, its mind. They had gotten somebody in place like that to be in that position of office. What is it saying to us, reflected back to us, that needs to change? Because we are one. There's a little bit of him somewhere within all of us that we have to change. Or there's a little bit of something in there that remind us to not go back to that type of distortion. So that is what it's about, okay? So again, message received, message given. So again, whether you agree with it or not, I welcome the conversation down below in the comment section. We could talk about it, go back and forth. But again, it's something as a reminder that tells us that something, consciousness in the way that we're doing has to be gotten rid of. And we were sleeping for that type of consciousness to get into a high position that it was. Because it represents a lot. I mean, I could get really into it on that, a lot of things of what that, but I do understand we all have different viewpoints and different things as far as us as people, as far as what he is. But again, he was in his alphaness. It's something about that alphaness there where it's I'm doing it by any means necessary, by all costs. Again, I will not back down even when I know I'm wrong. That type of consciousness, and I'm fine, double talk. 1 minute I'm for, but then at the same time I'm calling in for civil unrest at the same time. But at the same time I'm like, no, I'm with you. The doubleness, the duality, the double-mindedness. Something about that is a reminder that we've got to check that at the door. And they saying now it's time. Just like I had asked Spirit, there's no way that I say, are you saying that this person in leadership is going to lead us into the new world? Because I don't see how with that type of consciousness it's going to work out. Now that's just me. And again, like I said, I welcome the comments. Hey, you're welcome to do whatever it is. It's not a political thing. But what I'm looking at is the energy in which this person had reflected. Okay. All right then, as always, it's something just to make you think, something to make you go, as Arsenio Hall says, okay? So again, so as always, stay uplifted, stay motivated, stay ascending. Namaste, and I'm going to go. Love you.